Good morning, everybody. I was going for an attempt at a Cindy Lou Who hairdo. My hair is not quite short enough to make it work, but good morning. Happy Christmas season. Hope you guys are enjoying some nice holiday downtime with family and friends. It's the last live stream of the year for my channel. Yay! So I thought I'd go all out and do 3 tags at once because, I have a few to get through. Actually, if you see this, this is like my 7th edition. See, I actually put that on there because I thought it was funny. The 7th page I've made up of tags where people have tagged me, which is really wonderful and heartwarming and to me and generous of them that they want to include me, and that makes me feel wonderful. So thank you anyone who's ever tagged me. Let's start on that positive note. The 3 tags I'm doing today are Christmas music, which is made by Daniela Daniela at Uncommon Reader and Beyond Books. So they organized a tag, and I was tagged by Daniela herself and Emily Clarice Pessoa at the Linguists Library. So you're going to see Daniela's name a few times. There's a common theme in these tags, which I love. Christmas music. The second one is Booktube Makes Me Happy, which is a tag created by the Book Ponderer, and I was tagged by Daniela at Uncommon Reader. And finally, Community Joy and Gratitude tag, which was made by Book Chat with Pat. And I'm reminded about this one every time I see her posts because she shares other people doing the tag, which is just wonderful because she's helping promote the people who want to be in her community, which seems like kismet to me. And I was tagged by Heather Gregg and Daniela at Uncommon Reader. So a couple of these are like double tags, which means I really needed to do them. And I'm glad I'm getting them in before 2024 ends. So, welcome. My name is Margaret. This is a historical fiction stan channel, but I do booktube and authortube content, so hopefully you're here for a little bit of both because these 3 tags have elements of all 3, more on the booktube side, I would say, but a little bit of authortube stuff. And in case you're interested in my latest book, it is ORLA RAFFERTY, Seeks for Fortune, and it's down in the description if you want to get a copy for yourself for Christmas. Why not? Historical fiction is a great choice for wintertime. I wanted to say hi to the folks who popped into the chat. There's Leslie. She's getting tagged today. We have Anita saying hello, hello. Rachel at RK Stumbling Bear. Good morning. Catpaw saying morning all. There we go. Book chat with Pat. She's been summoned. Lovely to see you, Pat. Happy Christmas holidays. So I've got the prompts down below if anyone who's viewing this wants to take any of these tags, but I have a few people I'm calling out at the end of each one, and you can follow along and tell me your answers in the chat if you like. So, Christmas music, and I sort of said I might be singing to this one, but since it's 8:30 in the morning here in California, and since I am visiting my parents, and since they're not all morning people, I'm going to not do that because it's a season of kindness. So I'm going to choose not violence. So the first prompt for Christmas music is Joy to the World, a book that brings you so much joy you wish the whole world would read it. And for sure, I can't do overlays on the free version. I'm going to pop up bookshop.org and show you my choices for all of these, which is my fun way of doing things. So I've got, boop, there we go. There we go. Annie Mimi Matthews historical romance. So you'll see at the top here, she's got 4 books in tetralogy, which is one of her newest and most, I would say, sophisticated series because she's got a lot of historical elements and a lot of social justice elements that I love in this, starting with The Siren of Sussex. It's a group of 4 friends, and we take each friend in turn and how they find their match in love, and it's were wonderful stories. She does really well with, um, bringing to the page people's real feelings about how they're not worthy, and then exploring how they learn and grow being challenged by someone else who has a different issue. So, it's the best kind of relationship. And then at the end there, you'll see, Holiday by Gaslight, which is a different time period. And she does very well switching from decade to decade within the 19th century. And it's a Christmas special. So if you needed a Christmas book, may I suggest any Mimi Matthews historical romance? I'm a fan. Then we've got Let It Snow, a book that takes place in a snowy, cold environment. And for this one, I'm going to do some shout outs. And this is a book that I plan on reading in the last part of the year. It's by a friend of mine called T.L. Russ. That's Tiffany Russell. And the book is called Elfing Mine, which is a little holiday romance. And it's got the tropes right in the title here. He falls first, small town holiday romance. And if any of those things sound up your alley or up your stocking, shall we say, then fall right in. I would say it's very easy. No buyer's regret to try an ebook. And it is available only on Amazon, but I do go on Amazon to support friends who are Amazon exclusive. So there we go. T.L. Russ and some holiday romance. We've got an Eva in the house. Hello. Almost missed this one too. So glad I saw it before I got up to leave. We're going antiquing. Oh, fun. I muffled my mic. A volume dropped. Uh-oh. Did it come back? Maybe it was just my hand in front of my face or something. I hope it came back. Yeah, cute covers, horsies. Yes, this tetralogy is for women who are friends through their love of horseback riding in like 1880s London, I think. Yay! Anita says she liked A Holiday by Gaslight. It was fun. Gaslight, gas lamp. Yep. Connection. It did come back. Okay, good. Good. I'll try not to do things with my hands in my face. All right. Let It Snow. We've got I'll put that in the chat because I don't want to forget to shout out the friends. The next one is one of my favorite holiday songs, You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. Choose a book with a mean character or one that you just didn't like. And so I'm not going to put this in the chat to buy because this was torture to read. I read Money by Émile Zola or L'Argent, and the main character in that book, Aristide Sacquard, is like a Scrooge that never reforms. And not only that, he's a philanderer and like thinks that everyone can be bought and is like racist and anti-Semitic and like, the 19th century French paragon, I suppose. Of course, Zola is poking fun at him, and so he's not supposed to be likable, but he's very like realistic, and naturalism does that for us. So well done in the book, just like not a fun person to read about. Mean One, Mr. Grinch. The next Christmas music prompt is Santa Claus is Coming to Town, not my favorite song. A book releasing soon you can't wait to read. And here I have another friend's book. We've got something that you can pre-order right now. And if I pop over and go back a little bit, I can share Morgan Lee's book. So I have had this pre-order link in my notes for some time now, and it's getting close. February 10th, 2025. That's like a month and a half away. It's a cozy book. So if you're interested in cozy fantasy, Morgan Lee is switching from epic fantasy to cozy fantasy with this book. And I love when authors experiment because I love to experiment. So Library of Monsters and Magic in the chat now if you want to pre-order this cozy fantasy and try a new style if that's new for you, or maybe just support your local fellow author tuber. I'm excited about this one. And I am not very good at getting new releases ahead of time. So excited for this. We've got a couple more chats. Rachel suggests for cold and snow, I think of Early Riser by Jasper Fforde. I am a fan of Jasper Fforde. I read a few of the Thursday Next books, but I don't know Early Riser, so that may end up on my TBR. Thank you, Rachel. Your mic is close to where you type, and I think perhaps that's not intentional or known. Oh, but when you type, we hear rubs. Not a biggie, just to let you into the loop. Okay. I don't have all my wireless set up, so I'm doing everything on the laptop. I didn't bring it all with me, and I don't have a place to set it up. So holiday have-tos, I suppose. But thanks for letting me know, Eva. um, I got that one on pre-order too. Is that the Cozy Fantasy? Is that the Library of Monsters and Magic? Yay! Excited for this one. And Eva says, I've read Morgan Lee before, the first of her dark series. Yeah, I'm calling that epic, but maybe it should be called dark. I think it gets darker as it goes on, right? And she's working on the third one. I'm excited for her cozy. Yes, me too. Me too. All right, the next prompt is 12 Days of Christmas, a book of short stories. 12 Days of Christmas, also not my favorite song, but here's a good one for this. Let's see if I can do it without typing. Nope. Okay. I'll just try not to talk at the same time as I type. So, we've got this lovely thing. So if you were there for the Natasha Pulley interview, I love her. And this is a book where she has a story in, but a lot of other historical fiction authors do as well. This is The Winter Spirits Ghostly Tales for Frosty Nights. And it came out last Christmas, and I still haven't gotten yet. So it's on my TBR, it's on my wish list. It's historical fiction, it's winter, it's cozy, creepy. I think there's a range of ghostly tales. And I think these are just authors having fun with short stories. And so, yes, may I suggest? Yes, also excited for the rest of Morgan's series. It's just dark. Okay. Chef's kiss. Nice. Yes, I've got that one. I just have to finish Orla first. Oh, okay. So, mm, I don't know which one you're talking about now. Because you can't have Library of Monsters and Magic because it's not out yet. So you might have Elfing Mine. We can read that together if you want, Cat Paw. Ooh, Rachel says, for short stories, my sister says, oddly enough, by Bruce Coville. That name sounds familiar. I like that your sister is pitching in suggestions from the peanut gallery. I love it. It's a family affair. Oh, The Winter Spirits. Okay. So you have that and I don't. Okay. So you have that one and you're going to read it after Orla. Okay. Exciting. Then after 12 Days of Christmas, we've got The Little Drummer Boy, a book that brings back childhood memories. Oh my goodness, I had to do this one. And it's in history. Nope. Isn't it? Nope. I thought it would be easier, but it's not. Okay. So I don't know who remembers this book. I've definitely talked about it once or twice on the channel. The Jolly Postman or Other People's Letters by Alan Alberg, illustrated by Janet Alberg. And I had this when I was a kid, so it's been around. It's a classic. It's a picture book with a little bit of text, and each place that the postman stops, it has a letter that represents a different sort of fairy tale creature character that's visited, and they all sort of link together in this fairy tale community. So you get to hear the gossip about who visited whom and who owes something, to someone. And it was just perfect to open the letters. And on a side note, if you like opening letters and getting mail, how do you like that segue? I offer that as a Patreon benefit. So I send postcards to folks once a month. If you would like to check out the Patreon information, it's down in the description. But yeah, started early, haven't lost my love for mail and the written word and snail mail and the old. So that was lovely. Good question. I like that prompt. We've got, oh, I can put it in here. There's the Jolly Postman. And in case anyone is interested in ghostly Christmas tales, there's that in the chat. So I'm caught up. The next song is Deck the Halls, which is a good song. A book that has a party scene or takes place during a holiday. And for this one, I had, and Anita will be pleased, I had to go creepy with this one. So A Sorceress Comes to Call. This is a book that I read in October, I believe. I listened to it. It is my first T. Kingfisher, and she normally does horror or horror adjacent novels, but this one was supernatural, but a retelling of the Seven Swans, or is it the Goose Girl? I think it's the Goose Girl. I'm using this for Herc yet, and I haven't read the original yet, so I think it's a retelling of the Goose Girl tale. Anyway, it's beautifully written. Characters are great. There's a party scene in there where everyone's sort of like pretending because they're trying to entrap the sorceress, and it's delicious. It's very well done. So Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher would be my party book. Frosty the Snowman, a book with a character who's cold or calculating. Ooh, and this is sort of like Mean One, Mr. Grinch. So I have an answer, but I'm not going to talk about the character because it's a spoiler. Obviously, like, who's the cold calculating person? Well, you might not know because they're putting on a show. So for The Phoenix Crown, I read that as a buddy read with Leah earlier this year, and it's a historical fiction. It takes place during the 1906 earthquake. Cat Paw, if you're interested. I don't know if you read this one. I think you might have indicated interest before. And then it ends up like in France at the end, which is kind of funny. But the mystery part and like the storytelling, the way they add the tension was really well done, and I enjoyed this book. And the villain is very villainous, so very cold and calculating, like chillingly so. You like how I did that? All right. So I've got all my chats here for if people are interested in the books. And then we've got Rachel saying, yes, my sister and mom both are listening. Sister is making persimmon bread right now. Ooh, yum. My sister made pumpkin oatmeal raisin cookies, and she had like a whole like little baking box of things for her Christmas presents. And yeah, the pumpkin cookies is very similar to persimmon cookies, I think. Very moist, very yummy. Glad you have a source for persimmons. And Pat says, love T. Kingfisher. She was a new discovery for me this year too. Me too. Yeah. There's another book where it has a very creepy cover, and I was like, I don't know if this is a book for me based on the cover. But having read this one, whose cover did not intimidate me, I think I might try the next one. Every little bit will draw you in a little bit at a time. So, and then Thanksgiving is the final prompt category. I think it's called Thanksgiving. The question is, do you have a fun memory or interesting holiday tradition that you would like to share? It doesn't have to be about Christmas. It could be about any holidays you choose. And for this one, I like the story that is told about me as a kid, even though I didn't like it much at the time. When I think I was probably like 10 or 11, I got up earlier than everyone else because I'm an early bird, morning person. And I looked at all the presents under the tree, and I thought I would be helpful and organize them for everybody. So I took them all out and put them in piles for each person. And then when everyone came down like an hour later, they were like, we don't get to find our own presents. What'd you do? And so I had to put them back. And I don't think I understood at the time that like that was part of the fun for people. Because nowadays I do organizing. Other people don't really like it or appreciate it. But but I do. So, yeah. Yeah, little family story for you. And, on that note, I'm tagging Gareth at Book Songs and Other Magic. If he hasn't done Christmas music, he's a musician, so that should fit. JD Estrada, because he also talks about music, especially indie music. He just had an interview on Go Indie Now with Joe. And Dee Dee at Brown Girl Reading, because I think she will have lovely opinions on some of these prompts. And I want to hear what she has to say about Christmas music. She might have like a whole treatise. I'm curious. So that is the Christmas music tag, and boop, there we go. Um, oh, good, I'm in good company. Kappa did that. We can't help it. It's our nature. What do you want? Huh? Pat says, "What moves the dead and what feasts at night?" Definitely creepy covers. They're both really good too. Ooh, okay. Ooh, all right. Oh, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they fit into. That would be fun. Um, I've got I've got a video planned at the beginning of January that's going to be about the readathons that I'm going to participate in, and yeah, it's fun. It's fun thinking ahead. I almost never keep with what I propose, but it's fun imagining, right? Okay. Second tag is Booktube makes me happy. And of course, Booktube makes me happy. Why else would I be doing this twice a week? First prompt: what kind of Booktube content makes you feel good or gives you encouragement? So I had a couple answers for this. When I'm listening to people talk about books, I really like when they're grappling with challenging books. So if they're sort of thinking out loud and trying to like personally process either something in nonfiction that's outside their experience, or something that's in fiction that's touching them, they're trying to figure out like the symbolism or like how it relates to the greater themes. I love listening to people like process out loud, I guess, because it helps me. And I also love people who are sharing joy in a favorite book, and not in a hyped way, like, oh my God, you have to read this, but wow, I stayed up until 2 a.m. reading this, or like this made me cry at a certain point, or I was laughing because like this reminds me of my sister and our inside joke, like just like a real thing, you know? So I love people sharing joy in a really good book. Also, giving me encouragement. That part of the question made me think that whenever I am asked to be a guest on someone's channel, it's like getting asked to a birthday party as a kid. And so I do really love that. And it does make me feel included, just like a kid would when we spend time with each other and want to like shout each other out and boost each other up. So that's part of making me happy from being here. Um, And Pat says, "Love that image of little Margaret reorganizing the family's Christmas." And yes, at that age, I still went by Peggy. So Peggy is a nickname for Margaret. I'm sure Pat's come across it. And I had like a conversion at 12 years old where I was like, I'm too grown up to be Peggy anymore. So I had to differentiate myself. And so I went back to my true real name, Margaret, and have been that ever since. So, hi, Jocelyn. Welcome. Thank you for the like. We just finished Christmas music and we're starting on Booktube Makes Me Happy. So I'm on tag number 2. Number 2 question: how has Booktube motivated you or encouraged you to do something you might not have done otherwise? So the channel itself was sort of a let's try this and see how it goes. And that was 5 years ago. But what took me a really long time to do was putting together a vlog. And JC, if she sees this, will know how true this is, because I said I'd do it and said I'd do it and said I'd do it. And then I was like, wow, this is really hard. So I did like one, and I think I've done two. And then I did a bunch of really short ones in vertical format. So like really short. And that's about as much as I can do. So I edited vlogs. That's enough said. I never saw myself doing that. They're very hard. They're not my natural artistic form, but I've tried it. So, yeah, expounding boundaries. Question number 3, how has BookTube inspired you to put more positivity out into the world? And for this one, I was thinking like positivity, positive reinforcement. So when I give reviews, I think the most important thing is being honest and authentic. And so if I have a book um, where I think that the things that I say will affect the sales of that book in a bad way, I will just not review it, you know? Like it's not worth um it's not worth putting it out there that I didn't like this book if like my little opinion on my little channel could possibly affect the sales. If it's a big blockbuster, then it's obviously not going to. And so I will just say whatever I'm going to say. But most of the time, I would say probably 90% of the books that I read and I talk about, I find good things to say that are both true and authentic to my reading experience, but also will help the right audience find the book. And as an author, I know that there's an audience for every book. It's just you want to connect the right people to the right book, and that can be really hard. So I try to give indications of like who would appreciate a book so that they can find the right book. Positive reinforcement. So positivity. I sort of got off track there. So when I do live streams and like I'm chatting here with you guys like this, I laugh. I can hear you guys laughing with me. We chat and I feel like there's interaction and engagement, and that's what I mean by positive reinforcement. So when I am supporting books, supporting authors, telling people that they should consider XYZ subject because it's really important in the world, um, encouraging people to diversify their reading lists. And when I see people here and encouraging me to keep doing that, that's my positive reinforcement cycle. And I'll get to another thing about positive stuff in a different question. So I'll save that for a little bit from now. Question 4, what's your favorite comment to hear someone say about you or your channel? And I have to bring up a quote from Dave over at Book Blather, and he said I was the wittiest girl on Book Talk, so that made me smile. Basically, I just like making people laugh, and so a lot of my chats will be about trying to make people crack or smile or break character. And then when I'm in live streams with people instead of in the chat, it's also like trying to be respectful, trying to help the conversation, and then also like get in little funny bits because I think anytime we can make people laugh and like relax, and it just feels like it's a stress reliever. So I feel like that's one of my little services that I perform on BookTube. Um yeah. Gareth's sharing here. I'm the same. I try to stay positive in reviews and only get negative if I was reading it for an event or buddy reading, etc. Like if you're getting into like a really critical reading of something. Yeah. Instead of in the chat or as well in the chat. Haha. Um, both. Yes, I do. Yeah, I like to make people laugh in both. Okay, excellent. Prompt number 5, what are some unexpected happy surprises of BookTube? And here I've got meeting booktubers in real life. So both here in Portland and not here, I'm in Sacramento, but here in Portland where I usually live as well, I'm traveling. And so last February definitely was amazing that I got to meet Sandra and Heather and Camilla in Glasgow. And this summer, I got to meet Barrett and Tiffany and Morgan in Columbia, Missouri, and Amy from A Star Reads and Eloise Barr both came through Portland at some point, so I got to meet them, and Jen in Sacramento last year, I think, and like people who make themselves available. And I know it's a scary world sometimes, and you can think, parasocial relationships. I don't know. Is she really an axe murderer? You can't be too sure these days. But they overcame that initial fear and, they're still living as far as you know. So, um, and hopefully, so I'm like 50-50. It depends on where I start the trip, but I'm really hoping to have like some sort of time, maybe like a 2-week-ish time period to travel up the West Coast sometime, not West Coast, East Coast this next year and meet with some more booktubers by the Amtrak train. So like that would be a pretty cool adventure. So if you are along the Amtrak train route going up the East Coast and you want to have me make a whistle stop tour at your place, uh, call me. So yeah, that's really, really fun. Oh, Gareth and Pat are here. We've got Beyond Books. Yay, one of the co-creators of the tag, Christmas Music Tag. Yeah, Christmas tags together. Um, they're sort of like homey. So I've got some Booktube book stuff and Booktube community stuff. So I thought that'd be good mushed together. Nice to see you here. Hi, Rainy. Hi, Pat. Hi. Excellent. We've got number 6. What is a positive outcome you've gotten from making videos? So, as I said, it was an experiment that I started the channel 5 years ago. And I would say more than any other social media content that I've made, I definitely get a feeling of accomplishment. Um, Making videos and doing live streams and that sort of thing. It also, the fact that I was recommended to get a routine for the YouTube algorithm made it okay. Usually I hate routine and I will like rebel against it at the first opportunity, but this is a routine under my control for my own purposes, so it's almost like my brain can handle it. Um and another positive outcome, I would say feeling connected across space. So I said across space and time, and I said not really time, space. So especially because we started this during the pandemic, it felt like isolated, staying in your homes, staying away from crowds, staying out of public spaces. And this just made me feel more connected with more people across the world, like your living room is right next door to mine kind of thing. And that was great. That was good to have during the lonely times. Question number 6. What is a positive? I just said that. Question number 7. Which booktubers make you laugh? Okay, so I had to choose a few here, and Leslie already stopped in. She's one who I stopped in during her not interview, buddy read discussion of Emma Bennett's book, and I made them laugh a lot, which was delightful. So Leslie of Books, Gers, and Purrs. She's a lovely booktube friend. Emma Bennett herself. So she is like the queen of taking the piss. And so sometimes it's even hard to know if she's joking, but very quick wit and a fun booktuber, authortuber to watch. Gareth is on my list because of his wide range of knowledge and loving to take the piss as well. This Britishers, I mean, it's across the board kind of quality. But yeah, I think in the last few videos that I've seen of Gareth's that were videos and not live streams, I was just noticing more that there's this like hunger for knowledge and like depth of stuff, and not everything is in my interest area, but the ones that are, it's like great, because not only is the humor there and the biscuit lore is there, but also like we can connect on history stuff. So I'm looking forward to that next year, Gareth. Oh, and we're also going to be buddy reading Grapes of Wrath, hopefully in the second part of the year. I've got Ven's Corner up here. So he's a newer booktuber that I've met as well. And he's got live streams, he's got series ones, he's got sort of very chatty vibes. It's funny how people do things differently. He doesn't pop comments up on the screen, but he definitely talks to everyone. So people have just like adapted to the platform differently, and it's just neat to see different styles. And he's a very laconic, dry wit. I don't know if that's a northern wit. Again, Brits can tell me. We've got Rebecca Watson. So she's not a booktuber specifically. She talks about political science, nature, like societal issues, and sort of does critiques, I guess. But she also talks about books, and she also uses research in her lectures, and she's hilarious. So she'll do facts, she'll do news critiques, but then she'll put in things that are like really funny or, millennial references, which I'm a sucker for. And yeah, Rebecca Watson, skeptic is like her parenthesis. I'm not sure why she added that recently, but incisive, witty, and like knows her shit. So love that. And then Eloise Barr is my last laugh one. Um, she's got the greatest outro in AuthorTube, and puts a lot of things into her videos that are lighthearted and, again, sort of like stress relievers and just making people laugh. So I think we're on the same level in terms of we're trying to make this fun for people, even though we're also talking about stuff that we love and value and hold very dear. So it's a thin line. It's a tightrope. We've got, Amy says 5 years. Wow. Yeah, it goes by like that, right? Jim is here. Hello, hello. Jim and I are in the same cohort, so he'll tell me if I'm adding the math wrong. And I make Gareth laugh all the time. Excellent. Excellent. Mission accomplished. Question number 8. Which booktubers warm your heart and make you feel all happy inside, like a little Grinchy Grinch? So I've got 5, I think, here. I'm going to start with writer Sam Wicker. So she's an author tuber and does a lot of like community-based streams. So she's talking about how to break writer's block or how to like help out people in your community. And whenever people come to her with questions, she has a great gentle voice and like is very encouraging and just very compassionate for other people who are going through different issues and trying to find space for them to feel that and, just feel supported. So I love how Sam gathers community. I've got Spread Book Joy. That's Jack here. She's delightful. So I see a lot of, group book reviews. What do I see on Jack's channel? She does tags. She does readathons. She does a book club, which has a funny title, and I can't remember it right now. And she does like group chats and stuff, which is just really nice. And she just considers what she's saying. So it just feels like when she speaks, you can listen and have something worthwhile to listen to. And she's fun. She's heartfelt. That's the category. So yeah. Then I've got Amy at A Star Reads. And Amy is a fellow Pacific Northwesterner. And we did a buddy read. And I'm still kind of waiting for her to come back to me on the end of that buddy read. But I will mention the book later in a different tag. So but yeah, we met up in Portland. She's been traveling. She does these great vlogs that are all about spending time with her mom and like spending time in nature and getting used to the science teaching job and trying to find ways to engage the kids. And I just love like listening to them talk about how they're finding meaning in life. And she's often busy and tired and sort of catching up and stuff, but she's got so many goals and so many things she's going after that just, instead of making me feel like I'm behind, it just makes me feel like, oh, I can do another thing. Or, it's not bad to have ambition about things like that. So I love it. Melissa. So Melissa Ike. Melissa's channel basically comes to life whenever she has free time and not free time. Whenever she has a deadline coming up and she needs to dedicate her non-work time to working on it. So it's sort of like overtime. We're her overtime sprinter friends. So she's got some ambitious work goals for herself that aren't in her job description. And so she's doing them outside. And she's lovely because when you watch, she acknowledges all the comments and she remembers all the names. And she just like, again, very compassionate and very funny and like loves the banter. So I love stopping by with Melissa when she has live streams, like every so often. She has a bunch at a time. Melissa Ike, EICK. And then finally, the big channel is Lena Norms. So again, not strictly booktube, but she does review books, she does write books, but normally her videos are more about environmental movement or fast fashion or crafts or like low-buy stuff. So all in my bailiwick, but the books are also good. And warms my heart. So the last the last video of hers that I watched was about, do you hate musicals or do you just hate yourself? That was the title. And it was all about folks who had seen Wicked the musical and were like, "Oh, this is kind of rocking." And like she's pointing out that you do like musicals, you've just been trained to say that you despise them. So give a musical a chance. So that's sort of heartwarming thing, right? Like we're very alike in terms of a lot of our tastes. And I feel like she says it how it is, but it's also in an entertaining way and not in an alienating way. And she's very good at editing. I don't know if it's her partner who's doing the editing, but she used to do it. And, anyway, she has a very specific style and it's just very personable. So it's lovely to like tag along with her musings and, yeah, so she warms my heart as well. We've got, oh, I missed a few. Okay. Okay, so Gareth says my booktube time will be 5 years in June. Yay. 5 years does seem like a long time. I think it's probably 5 years in the summer as well. I'm just rounding it. Beyond Book says, awesome, Gareth. Will there be a big celebration? Definitely a big live stream. Excellent. Jack's Book Club is the FOMO book club. Okay. All right. Yeah. Hi, Rita. Thank you for stopping in, hitting the like button. Beyond Book says, if you do an Atlantic Coast Amtrak tour, look me up. I'm in Virginia. Ooh. So we're in Virginia. I've never been to Virginia Beach. I've never been to Charlottesville, even though that's inland. But I lived in DC, so I've been to Fredericksburg and Richmond. So anyway, I know a little bit about Virginia. That would be fun. Rita says, I love musicals. Well, yeah, theater folks. Anita says, I love musicals. Okay, cool. So we've got a little clan here. Well, it is my channel after all. Jim says, Wicked was the only movie I've seen in the theater this year. Have I seen a movie in the theater this year? I don't think I have. Took grandchildren 2 and 3. They loved it. Aw. Oh, interesting. Well, I'd be curious what your reaction is then, because there's an interesting discourse about the reactions in America. I'll just say that because I don't want to get into it on this stream. Question 9, who are some of your favorite commenters who don't have their own channels? And I'm going to call you out here. Eva was here earlier. Eva Tian, she changed her channel handle, but Eva is the word that comes to mind is stalwart. I feel like she likes to like shoot a bunch of positivity and like reality checks and then vanish in a puff of smoke like Zorro. So I love Eva's role in the community. She's fabulous and irreplaceable. And Cat Paw Rosales herself. So Cat Paw is here as well. And favorite commenters who don't have their own channel. There's fewer and fewer of these as people start their own channels. So these are the only 2 I could think of. And Cat Paw has helped me behind the scenes with some of the audio work I was experimenting with a few months ago, as well as just like talking about books and life and all that stuff over email. And that was wonderful. So, you don't need to have your own channel to forge relationships and bonds with friends across space, which is why I love Booktube. Which is why Booktube makes me happy, I should say, in honor of the tag. What is something new you can do to put more positive energy out into Booktube? Okay, so here's where I'm going to like plug my new project for 2025, which is the TRC sessions. So if you know about truth and reconciliation commissions across the world, there's been different versions. I had sort of 3 in mind, which is South Africa, Canada, and Rwanda as like different countries have been through these processes and done them very differently. Um, After the election here in the US, I felt like we needed something like that, because specifically, I mean, there's lots of things we could do it on. Specifically, though, what I was being called to was addressing the climate, because it felt like we just buried our heads in the sand and said, we don't care if we blow up the world with this choice. And so there's climate grief. There's like, if you know the science, you know we're like heading toward a cliff. And now there's no way to stop it. And so a lot of crap is going to happen to us. And so acknowledging that, and then also saying, what can we still do? How can we still help? What is worth saving? How do we save it together? Um, that's what I want to both get out and sort of heal from in terms of the grief, and discuss in terms of forming community. So it's positive energy, but it's like you can't only see the positive side. I think part of the um, weakness of American policy discussions is like you're only allowed to talk about the positive side. So I think that having a little bit of space to talk about, I'm sad about this and this really frustrates me, and then say, okay, then what do you want to do together to seize that, outcome? I think that gives us a little bit more power and motivation, perhaps. So hopefully we'll be starting that in January with Melissa, if and Victoria, depending on which one goes first or if they're going to go together. We'll see. We're still working it out, but that's my idea, to do one a day, one a month, a talk a month, because it'll take some organizing. I got a bit of that inspiration from Indivisible, which is a nonprofit here in the US, and going to their Women Wednesday Zoom talks. And then, like I said, my sort of grieving process and figuring out what to do, and then reseeding and trying to build community. So the Booktube community and like the political action are going to have a little bit of overlap, and we'll see how that works in 2025. Oh, yeah, cat paw. Yeah, climate grief is real. Yes, I've read books about it, so it must be real. Brilliant idea. Yay. Thank you, Pat. And so Melissa and Victoria were the first to come forward with ideas on that live stream where I was talking about it first. But if you have another aspect, so they're talking about human trafficking and climate change and disability and climate change. If you have another aspect where like it's really hitting you the most, where you're talking about maybe your garden or like the animals or the wildlife or the waterways or something that is your issue and you want to talk about it and get people more involved, then let me know. So yeah, always open to that. Also, I think I've been involved with it since the mid 70s as a kid, and I really thought the world would have made a turn for healthier by now, right? Yeah. Yeah. I'm reading The Uninhabitable Earth now, but the one before that, the Better Catastrophe book, I think is the one where it's like, yeah, we've had this for 30 years, 40 years. And yeah, it's the change in mindset has been um logarithmic. Is that it's not parabolic. I think I can't remember. Oh no. What's the not asymptomatic? Asymptotic. Maybe that's the word. Someone who's a math person, tell me if that's the right word. But yeah. Okay. For last prompt is tag others. So some of the folks that I haven't heard from in a while or interacted with: Heather Reed's, definitely Heather Reed's channel; Bethan Berninga Sokolar, who I'm buddy reading a book with right now. So hopefully I'll get to talk with her soon. Rachel at RK Stumbling Bear, if you're still listening, I thought you would like Booktube Makes Me Happy as a tag. We've got Ven's Corner, who's one of the laugh tracks here, and Nicole at Noteworthy Fiction, who I met earlier this year, and she seems lovely and haven't talked to her in a bit. So what about Booktube makes you happy? She has these super long 12-hour reading sprints on Mondays, and both admirable and completely incomprehensible to me. So I'm like in awe. So that is the second tag. Let me take a little breather before we hit the third one, which is Pat's. All right. All right. Doing good. 20 minutes and then 30 minutes. So, yeah, we'll aim for 25 for this one. Community joy and gratitude. So, this is a tag with several subcategories, and the first one is joy. 1, name an author whose books bring you joy, or discuss a specific book that makes you feel joyful. So, I had a I can look this up so I can have a video. Boop, 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 boop. I had wasn't a tag. Maybe it was a tag. It was either a month or 2 months ago. I try to do one tag video per month, and I had to pick a favorite book. Oh, it was Gareth's video. That's what it was. And I picked this one as my favorite book recommendation for the year. And it's because it brings me joy. Like I said earlier today, Evie Dunmore is a lot like Mimi Matthews. Mimi Matthews is more clean romance and sort of following the formula for historical romance, whereas Evie Dunmore, and this is the first book that I've read of hers, Portrait of a Scotsman. I think the word I'm looking for is stereographic. It pulls it apart into different levels, right? So I'm reading at once a romance where it's like enemies to lovers, also historical social justice themes, because he's someone who has money who didn't used to, and so he knows what people have gone through and he remembers it rather than oppressing people that are under him, under his employment. Finding out about technological advances in the late 19th century. There's like historical detail like that, like about cameras or about costumes. And like that's just sort of thrilling for the nerd inside of me. And there's also deep psychological exploration. So there's several quotes that I wanted to use in Gareth's 1-minute video, but I couldn't get in. I chose one that was about like women's consciousness and like thinking of themselves as a person rather than a reactor to the men in their lives. And so then lots of like gender issues. So there's just so much going on in this book that is positive. Like it's saying the right things instead of just laying it all out there. This is how terrible it was. And so that's what made it joyful. Also there's a happy ending. So definitely can't recommend this book enough. I'm recommending it again. And I'll pop this in the chat since I pulled the link out just for that purpose. Yeah, and I had to speed up some of it to fit, and I didn't even fit in the 1 minute. I think it was like 1:20. Okay, question number 2, discuss something about Booktube that you find joyful. So I had a few here. Original tags. So many of the times we do tags that are, I want to call them received tags, like they were invented by a monarchy or something. No. Original tags, meaning not the end of the year tag, not the mid-year freak out, not like the one everyone does, but someone had an original idea and they had a clever way to come up with prompts that would link things, and like they just put thought into it, and it's obviously something that means a lot to them. For example, Rachel just put out a tag that is the Wick tag because she had this really cool she shared this really cool fact about herself, which is that she started out being a grocery clerk, learning what WIC was because people would use it when they checked out. And it's just like a benefit for paying for things, women, infant, and children who need assistance from a state program. And now she's in the healthcare program helping administer WIC benefits for people in a different part. And the program has evolved, since she's interacted that way. And so like, I just love learning about people's passions through what they choose to do tags about. So original tags, especially like niche ones, those bring me joy. Also, silly TBR games. This is like, what's the word? Vicarious vicarious joy, because I would never go to the lengths like Amy, for example. Her Christmas vlogs are all about these TBR drawing games, and she's got like an advent calendar of things and like papers in a jar and like books wrapped in different stacks and like so many things, so complicated. It's like a mousetrap game. I love that for her. I could never do that. I'm such a mood reader. I'm just like, this is the next book. Sure, let's try it. So I love watching other people craft like these really intricate machines. It's like a Rube Goldberg TBR. That just makes me laugh. It's very fun to watch. And then I also put MJ's small booktuber shout outs on here. So MJ is a larger channel, and she started this tradition of doing small booktuber shout outs. So some channels will go search for new booktubers doing the new booktuber tag and like visit them and encourage them and then shout them out. MJ is the only one I know who does this consistently and still. And so I think it's lovely that she does that, and it shows her values and where her heart is, and like that's goals. So I love that. And those are things that bring me joy. Friendship category. Number 3, discuss a book that focuses primarily on friendship. I went back and looked at the books and thought, okay, what pings in my brain when I think of friendship? And I'm going to say The Rachel Incident. Okay, so The Rachel Incident was a book that I read for the Irish Readathon. It was the group read. And I wouldn't have picked it up normally because it's literary, it's contemporary, and usually those sort of books feel so stilted and alien to me that I don't really get into them, and I don't really feel, it doesn't resonate, right? It feels like pretentious. But this one, it's about a young woman who is her middle class family has come down a peg, and she can't finish college because she doesn't have the funds. So she starts working at this bookstore in Ireland, and she meets a friend at the bookstore, and they become besties. And this is borderline unhealthy, and you're kind of like, where's this going? He's gay, so they're roommates, and he has his whole life and like, meeting people and whatever. And she has, again, like borderline unhealthy, like what's she doing with her life? Well, it's her early 20s. You're allowed to make mistakes, right? But yeah, her love life does get sort of twisty, but these roommates are always invested in each other, and I really liked that portrayal. They sort of, get really close and get mad at each other and back off, and like I like it. There's twisty other stuff going on, but I think that was what felt central to the book for me, that she navigates these other challenges sort of anchored with her best friend. So yeah, I liked that. Yes, MJ is a treasure. Yeah, she's lovely. And I love it when she shows up in Gareth's chats, because she's always doing it like with half an eye, and Gareth's calling her out for not being there through all the chat, even though they get 30 minutes behind in the chat. So it's a lovely atmosphere. Laughter. So the next category is laughter, and question 4 is discuss an author or a specific book that makes you laugh. Okay, so for this one, I put one I didn't read with anyone, but I read sort of because of Native American Heritage Month. It's called The Truth According to Ember. And Ember is a young woman who is also, just coincidence that I'm talking about these right next to each other, but she's also struggling to pay for education fees. And so she can't get a job, and she wonders if it's because she's checking the native box on the questionnaires because she's not even getting a call back. And I know what that feels like. But then she decides to just check white and just erase her native identity to see if she can get a job because she needs money to pay back the stuff because some family stuff happened. I won't spoil it. And so she gets a call back. She gets a job like that. And at this job, she is confronted with several opportunities to, fake it till you make it. That's sort of accepted, right? But then it starts to go down well, how much are you going to lie about this? She doesn't lie about her native identity to the love interest, the guy that she meets at the workplace. But then she has to lie about some of her background because of what she checked and because of what she said she had in the questionnaire. So then it's like a journey of her discovering where her values are and who's really got her back. And it's really funny. Um, and there were several points in the book where I laughed out loud. And also, Leslie Bookskers and Purrs read this book the month after I did. And I think she sent me a message or two where she was laughing at some of the things that I did. And so it's like another round of laughter. Just very enjoyable. That's contemporary. But I guess I wouldn't call it literary like Rachel Incident, and I'm not sure what differentiates it except that it's a romance, so it's obvious that it's a formula and there's going to be a happy ending, whereas Rachel Incident is much more ambiguous, but in a way that I could tolerate. I don't know if that makes sense to folks. Um, but yeah, so Ember being in the new workplace, the way she sees things, the way she like takes them in stride, the way she sort of fakes it, and her screwball best friend who's amazing, and the tension between the workplace interests and how funny he is. It was just a lovely book to read. So yeah, comedy romance. It's a good genre. If anyone needs a laugh, if anyone needs to relax, that's a good recommendation. Next category is community. And the question, number 5, is discuss a book where the idea of community is important. All right, so I think going against the trend for this one because it's a nonfiction. Because I wanted to work this in somehow, and this is what I was talking about in a previous tag about the Indian card. So this is the book that I was going to buddy read with Amy. And we started off and then she got sick and then really busy. So the Indian card is a nonfiction, part memoir, part research exploration of the state of Native identity in the US. And what's interesting is that I read this at the same time as I was listening to the Fire This Time's author's podcast, and the podcast developed into the book, The Fire This Time. And there's a lot of overlapping issues in terms of the latest phase of U.S. government policy concerning Native Americans. The Indian card is this one person grappling with her own identity, but also exploring why she thinks certain ways about her identity and how U.S. policy has shaped it. So the Indian card is a reference to your card carrying tribal, affiliation, and how that came about, how it's evolved, how it's been flipped back and forth in terms of blood quantum and tribal benefits and all these things people who are not in the communities generally don't know a thing about. So I read about several Supreme Court cases that are very recent or still active that are making decisions about rights and very important things for Native communities. And so I thought this was a really eye-opening book and led me to many other resources. And I felt like the author, I'm going to have to look it up. It's got a funny last name. I didn't remember. Carrie Lowry Schuett-Pels. There we go. So let me just share it so you guys can see it while I talk about it. She did a very good job of saying, like, "Here's my experience. Here are some other people's experience that I'm interviewing and have given me permission, because that's very important." And, there are varieties of experience, obviously, there's a range. And then also historically, she goes into some of, like, the different phases of US policy because they flipped several times back and forth in terms of, are you trying to assimilate natives, or are you trying to, isolate and basically destroy them? So, um, it's stuff that's not obvious when you think about the policy. So, when she's talking about her own identity, she also talks about, well, we've gotten here at this point through some very terrible moves and experiences and limited reactions and fights back. And what do we do now? It's kind of like where we are with climate. Like, we've gotten here from some very short sighted decisions and shareholders who don't care about the next generation. And what do we do now? We're sort of in the shit. So, like, um, so for me, the answer in some of these books that I'm reading is to build community. And by that, I mean, talk to other people about what you know, about what you can do, about resources you can access, and, talk about survival mechanisms and plans and what you think is important. Um, because it's hard to think about, and it's easier to think about out loud with other people, and, it's gonna take a while. Like, you're not gonna think about this once and come up with your answer. It's something that needs to be, like, threaded out or negotiated, you know? So this is why I'm encouraging folks in the climate thing to come to these TRC sessions. And for me, at least, the Indian card is a way to see the same type of discussions and negotiations in another community that I'm not a part of, and draw inspiration from it. So double points. Just really, really loved this book and what it did, um, for my thought process. All right, so community, and then number 6, also under community, discuss a communal reading experience that you have had. Ooh, okay. So for this one, instead of recommendation, I'm gonna give a link to a readathon. Behind Books says, sounds like a great book. It really is, and I listened to it on audiobook. I would say it's good. I mean, it's not like, it doesn't need to be listened to on audiobook. It's not anything extra, I don't think. But yeah, just really, really good. No Logo, or Climathon. So what I have here is, I read No Logo as a buddy read with my friend Anya at Well Traveled Books, and we just had a buddy read discussion, I think a week ago, and it was fantastic because we took the whole month. I started on November 1st and did not finish No Logo until November 30th. So, it was like every day I had to read a little bit. It's a really dense book, despite the fact that it's 25 years old. It was written in 1999. Naomi Klein was on target. Um, a lot of the negative things are just exacerbated and worse today. So No Logo, still irrelevant today. A lot of the positive things that she sort of presented as possible solutions are not. And the internet has evolved in a different way than she predicted. So half of it is sort of needs to be updated. But she's written other books since then, and they're probably great too. So we read No Logo as part of the consumerism prompt for Climathon. Climathon, if you click on that link, it will take you to Storygraph, which is a reading tracker, and it will show you the Storygraph challenge, which organizes, I think, 12 prompts and all the books that all the people who participated added to the prompts, whether or not they finished them. So if people came up with ideas for the consumerism prompt, and they put the books in there, a lot of these have like 50 books. So if you're looking for books about different aspects of climate change, that is a huge resource. The Climathon Readathon is run by Anya and Tasman at Wild Island Farm, and I'm going to help them co-host in 2025. So I'm super excited about that. I think I don't know if I'm the only one that completed it. I'm sure I'm not. I'm very proud of myself for completing all 12 prompts because I never do that with readathons, and I was just super excited about this one. So, um, the communal reading experience that I had that I can talk about for the prompt is the reading no logo with Anya. So I had to get another app because she doesn't have Discord or Voxer. I had to get WhatsApp. And what's funny is that in 2024, I downloaded WhatsApp and it said, "Do you want to re-download from the cloud all the conversations from before 2015 when you deleted this app?" And I'm like, "Do I? Do I need those conversations if I haven't thought of them since 2015?" And viewer, you will be proud of me. I said no. So whoever was on there will stay forgotten, whoever it was. I'm only putting another app on my phone that is owned by Meta so that I could talk to Anya and Tasman about Climathon. So anyway, and we sent the reason we needed an app instead of like Instagram is because we wanted to send voice messages, and Instagram won't let me do that on my old version anymore. So we have probably like 100 or more voice messages back and forth, chapter by chapter, of like the things that we highlighted, the things that we were questioning, the things that we thought of based on those things. It was like a really intense reading experience. And we would respond to each other's as well, like, "Oh, I saw that," or, "Oh, I didn't think that was right," or, "Oh, this made me think of that." And it was just like, book club times a million. It was so wonderful. So that's going to be hard to top next year for Climathon, but there's always new books coming out, and I'm sure some of them will be good. But really, it wasn't the book, it wasn't a logo. It was that Anya was super jazzed about it and excited and activist, and I was the same. So it was the meeting of the minds. I've had a lot of great buddy reads on Booktube over the years, and I hope they continue. Like Gareth, next year we have one planned. I think Katya and I may have one planned, and Leslie and I have one planned, and maybe Anya another one. But if you are ever curious and you hear me talk about a book on a list that I have and I'm thinking of reading and you want to read it with me, let me know. I am open to buddy reads. They help me stay focused and engaged, and they help me, get a book read by a certain time period, which if you know how much of a mood reader I am, is a significant motivating factor. So I love it. Rita says, "Oh my gosh, my curiosity alone would have made me say yes to those cloud convos." I was like, 2015. It is 2024. That is 9 years ago. Why would I want to download all that stuff if I haven't even thought of it? Like, I need more open tabs in my brain. So I'm glad I stayed strong and said no. Kira says, "Grapes of Wrath, whoop whoop." And Rita, "Gotta make some food, take screen break, great chat." Thank you, Rita. Hey, Nia, welcome. Sounds good. I am just finishing up the community category, and I've got one more on my third and final tag today. Perfect timing here. Okay, so the last category is gratitude. Name a book in which a character demonstrates real gratitude, or name a book that left you feeling a sense of gratitude. Oh, I had the perfect one for this, Pat. So, and I think you would enjoy this book too. I think almost everyone would. It's called Do Me a Favor by Kathy Yardley. I'll bring it up. Hold on. So you can see, oh, there we go. You can see by the cover, it's graphic art. It's a romance. Oh, let me get I can't get the moving banners completely out of the frame, but you get the idea. Do Me a Favor by Kathy Yardley. So Kathy Yardley has written a bunch of books that I did not know about until role playing, and that was sort of a breakout commercial success. It's a rom-com that also deals with disabilities and mature characters. So like if you think that diversifying your reading list means checking a box of having a person of color as a character and like a different religion as a person, a character, whatever, that there's that way of looking at things, but there's also like really ground grassroots. I feel like the story dictates what these people are going through, and their traumas inform the relationship and the story. So Do Me a Favor is sort of got gratitude in the title, right? But it's about two middle-aged folks in the Pacific Northwest. One is recovering from being a caretaker and losing her partner, and one is recovering from being abandoned by his partner 20 years ago and never having gone after his dream. So these characters sort of get to know each other, and it's a really adult way of exploring romance, and I just really appreciate that. Instead of insta love, instead of like shadow daddy, which I just heard of as a trend. It's really grown up, and like people are taking themselves seriously. I just really appreciated this, and I don't think I've found many other romance authors who do something similar. I watched an interview with Kathy Yardley on the Spa Girls podcast channel, and she was delightful. She'd just been writing for 30 years, and that came through with like, I've done this and I've done this and that didn't succeed. And then I was finally like, screw it, I'm going to do what I want. And then that's the one that succeeded. So I feel like she has a really like strong relationship with herself and her needs. And like, I love it. So the gratitude in this is in a relationship, but also realizing that yourself has to come first. And I just loved seeing that represented on the page in a in a delicate way. So instead of saying um like a like a blonde sorority girl, I'm turning down the guy because myself comes first and I need to go to Europe for a year or whatever. That seems very facile to me and very like non-realistic. This is more of a, you had a really hard choice and you made the decision that you felt was right. The character did. Um and I think seeing that on the page represented gives people who read it courage to make those same hard decisions. I think a lot of us in America have trouble making hard decisions. I will say that I am one as well. I hate making decisions, but like seeing it is modeling. So I'm really grateful for having read this book by Kathy Yardley. There you go. Yeah. I'm glad she stayed strong. I know, I don't need more drama. Whatever it was from 9 years ago can stay there, right? Yeah, Pat says, "Do me a favor," sounds wonderful. It is, it's so good. She's so lovely. So yeah, definitely try it out. And then for this tag, I am tagging, I think these people haven't done it, Anya at Well Traveled Books, Leslie at Books, Gers, and Purrs, and Jim. I don't think you've done this yet either. So please join the party and tell us about community joy and gratitude. And I'm sorry if anyone has done any of these tags already. I thought I did my research. It took quite a while because I'm doing 3 at once. But yeah, I will tag those channels in the description if I haven't already. And I forgot to do these because there was too much going on. So do you have any questions now that we're basically done? There's the link in case anyone's curious about the bookish mail that I mentioned earlier. Um, I have on my list of things to do to like revamp the 3rd tier for Patreon. So we'll see what we come up with. And the next thing I have coming up is my first Wednesday wrap up. So this is the last video for 2024. And the first one for 2025 is going to be New Year's Day because it falls on a Wednesday. That is a Wednesday wrap up day. I do those every 2 weeks. So I have about 4, maybe 5, maybe 6. We'll see. We'll see on New Year's Day. Until then, stay safe, take care of yourself, hydrate, please, and spend some lovely time with loved ones. And let me just check to see if there's any questions. And if not, I will sign off. Okay, good. Good. Jim has not done it, so yay. And Happy New Year. Perfect. All right, everybody, go forth and happy reading. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and diversify that reading list. All right. See you soon, everyone.